And even though I'm in my seventh decade now, hustling has never dimmed. We've always been busy. Rose and I both came from relatively poor backgrounds. So if I wanted something in the way of extra clothing, a new pair of shoes, a bicycle, I went out and I hustled, and I got those things for myself. And it's the way I grew up. From being born in Michigan in the Midwest, it's a term that's always caused me to chuckle too. I grew up being told I lived in the Midwest. Well, that only really applies if the uncharted territories west of the original 13 colonies were indeed the West. But as with many things, as people traveled west, they found out that there was a lot more of this country to explore. So they probably should have called it the Far East. But I digress. So we live a retired life, or a semi-retired life, as Rose reminds me, in a little town. They tell us the economy's depressed here. Reselling is one of those things that can be done just about anywhere. The bandwidth has increased so much while we've been doing this that, I can chat with you on a cell phone, sitting in the front yard with a view of the lake, and the internet can take care of that. It can get my message out. But I think I have some unique perspectives. I do things a little differently than many people do. For one thing, we already have a retirement. We could do absolutely nothing. I could become a bump on a log, and I would survive. And even though I'm in my seventh decade now, coming up on the big 7-0, as they say, the act of hustling has never dimmed. My physical abilities have declined. I'm no longer moving stacks of lumber and tractor implements and selling RVs or any of that. But the concepts that applied when we worked out of a 2,600 square foot pole barn, and we cleared estates and bought delinquent storage units, sometimes several in a week, that hustle has never gone away. But the ability to execute the volume certainly has. And it's good. As you retire, you should shift your focus slightly. Before you retire, you should shift your focus. You should start thinking about your retirement. Thinking about where that income that you make on a 9 to 5 is going to come from once you're actually in a position to tell your boss, you're done. I've done that a couple times in my life as well. It's always a big emotional roller coaster when big changes happen. With care, with thought, and with a side hustle or two, you can also. Ooh, look at that. That looks like sticky fingers to me. Sticky buns, sticky muffins, sticky cakes, sticky fruit. Oh, fruit cake. Wow. Coffee cake was good. I'm not usually a big fan of coffee cake. Had a few over the years. It's been said that there are only a half a dozen out there in the world, and they just keep getting mailed around from place to place, having more booze added. There was one I remember when we lived in Europe, made by monks. Had enough booze in it that I think it could have lasted to the next millennium. Sticky though. I had to go in and wash my fingers and the handle of my coffee cup before I could continue. Otherwise, I'd end up with smudges on my phone button over here. But Rose likes to try things. That one had a definite marmalade type taste to it, which has never been my favorites. I like the berries, which of course we're just coming into berry season. My youngest has an organic farm not too far from here. She grows both ever-bearing and June-bearing strawberries, so we'll start getting some berries in with our breakfast in a few weeks. It's one of the nice things about retirement. On a good day like this, when the weather's nice, we can sit out and have our coffee, though it is a little chillier than it was earlier in the week, so it's fleeces, morning fleeces. When I first retired back in the late 90s, I would wear flannel shirts as my overshirt. We were working on clearing the property to build. As it would warm up and activity would start, off would come the overshirt and it would get hung up. And come laundry day, I'd have to walk around and collect them. They'd be in all the trucks on the tractor, hanging on fence posts, doorknobs. Because once you started doing something, off came the shirt, and as long as you were out that day, you stayed warm. It wouldn't be till evening that you'd go looking for your shirt again. It's pretty temperate here in the Pacific Northwest. A lot better than where we grew up, surrounded by the Great Lakes. We don't see nearly as much snow, though the seasons here, spring can come early. It hit 80 degrees already in May, but June can turn right back around and drop into the 60s. And then, of course, August gets the warmest, and it starts to cool down again. But my favorite times of the year here are May, June, and then again in September, October, because the plants are the most active, blooming. I'm not a gardener by any stretch of the means, but if you look around the property in the background as I film, you'll see that Rose has got plants in abundance and a colorful garden bling. She's had 30 years of clearing estates and storage units to pick and choose the items that she finds interesting, and they make it into her garden, or she remakes them into something that makes it into her garden, because salvage and surplus is another one of the things we've gotten involved in our reselling careers. We were on the poor side of the bell curve as kids, so as we became adults and started handling a lot of product, one of the challenges we would have would be discarding something. As long as we thought it had use, or someone could make use of it, or it was better than someone might have, we would try to get it out to where it could be reused. Now that's an interesting concept, because sometimes you expend more energy or even cash than the value of the item, but it still gives you a certain positive feeling when you can connect somebody with somebody who needs a table or a chair. They live in an apartment, maybe they've lost something through a divorce or a natural disaster, and there's a particular charity in our area. I'm not talking about Goodwill. It's a local charity, and it does a much better job of getting things to people at no cost or low cost, and we prefer to donate to that organization. There's another one in this town that supports a senior center, so it's where our donations go since we've moved. But charities like that, I think, have a much better mission statement than, say, Goodwill does. People talk about Goodwill and where the money really goes, but Goodwill is not strictly a non-profit organization. They do good things, retraining programs, keeping items out of the landfill, but we've watched the evolution of Goodwill over the last few decades as well, and they're pretty much being run now like many retail stores, and they're starting to get an awful lot of retail product. You go into Goodwill and there are racks and racks and displays of fixed price items that they acquired either because some company had an overstock, or like a dollar store, it was actually targeted directly to them, and they're putting it in the shelves. You can find good items at a Goodwill to resell, but I think the days of finding enough value to support yourself as a full-time reseller has become much more of a challenge. And to do it that way, you're going to end up being on the road a lot more. You're going to be burning up fuel, traveling from store to store, competing with other like-minded sellers. We don't play in that game much. We like a good bargain, we like a good thrift store, but we prefer the mom and pop operations to anything that's controlled like a large franchise. One day soon, I'll take you into our local small thrift store, the one that supports the senior center, which is where our donations go, and we'll have a look around. It doesn't have the square footage of a Goodwill, but then our town is not all that large to begin with. Oh, the seedlings, the ones that are trying to reseed along the bank.
Have you come out?
Yeah, I know it's a tough call trying to leave enough for the insects and the ducks. Wow, look at that elephant plant you put in a couple years ago.
Yep. It's doing well.
Okay. What is that? Is that a Ganera?
Yeah.
Some footage. The island on the right. Another island on the left. The geese like that island. Swinging around. Let's go get some coffee, lady.